All right. That's a little clap test. So, Miss Jennifer Shepherd, can you hear me okay? Sound good?
Yes.
We're here in Northside Remedy. Might hear some dishes clanging or some glasses breaking. Hopefully not too many glasses breaking, though.
I'm sure just one or two.
Yeah. You're in the industry, so you get it. You understand the background noise and the hullabaloo, but we love it. So we are here, season 1, I think maybe episode, I'm losing count, 12, 13. We had Miss Elizabeth Baker on last week. I think that was 11, so I think you might be number 12.
Nice.
12 is good. I don't know. What's your lucky number? Do you have one?
I really don't have one.
Don't have a lucky number?
I don't.
Okay, all right. Mine's 6. I don't know why. I just established that a long time ago. But all right, so I do appreciate you coming. This is great. I know your life's super busy. You got tons of going on, and we're going to get to that. All the different things you're involved in, all the different businesses, all the different endeavors, all the different service activities that you do, not to mention being a mom. So we're going to get to that a little bit, but I would like to offer you the opportunity here in the beginning, for our viewers, is to give a little bit of your kind of journey. So kind of where does Jennifer come from? And I love asking this question because so many of the people that I have sitting in that seat, I know, and we're friends, we've shared drinks, maybe we've gone golfing, we've hung out, whatever it might be. But are you born and raised in Weatherford? Or are you from California? And, I had
Look at you asking the operative questions.
Yeah, well, it's just interesting. I think I'd like to know more about you. So what is the history? Where do we come from? Where are we, born and raised? And what brought you here to Parker County?
So I was actually born and raised in California.
Oh,
way to
I
go.
did say
Yes,
California.
I know. I was
All
like,
right,
look
nailed
at
it.
you.
Nailed it.
So I was born actually in Hawaii. My dad was a naval officer.
Okay, time out. Okay. So not born and raised in California.
Well, okay, so I was raised in California.
Born in Hawaii.
Born in Hawaii, and I was there till I was about 2.
I love Moana.
And then yes.
Keep going. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Keep going.
my brother fully embraced the idea of Hawaii because he was in the Navy as well. But we moved to Northern California when I was little, and then we were there until I was about 4.5 or so, and then we moved to San Diego, and we stayed there until my dad retired.
Navy.
Okay. Yes. So we were right outside of La Jolla a little bit, and I grew up there. So
where Top Gun is filmed,
yes. So on the base that he wasn't stationed on that base because he was on Naval Island, and that's like a whole different area. But the base closest to us, Miramar, is exactly where that was. Yes. And so we were allowed to go into and sit on the stool that Tom Cruise had sat on. Yes, it was a thing. And because we were allowed to go, because my dad was an officer at the time, so we were allowed to actually go in there. I had to go with my mom, and I got to sit on the stool.
From the original Top Gun?
From the original Top Gun, yes.
Oh, man, that's a cool story.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that. All right. So we're in Southern California. We're in San Diego for how many years?
I stayed there until I had...
your dad?
So he was stationed there. I stayed there, graduated high school, got married. I moved a little bit north, and then I moved out of state. So I lived in Michigan for 7 years, which I wouldn't do again. I mean, it's nothing against Michigan, but
so
it's very
think
cold.
for Michigan? Are we in the Michigan, or are we in
right? You do the hand thing.
Yeah.
So I lived in Cement City. It was called Cement City. So it was Irish Hills,
they had
technically.
A robust concrete industry.
So can you imagine going from San Diego to Cement City? It was super fun. And then we moved closer to Detroit before we left. Yeah. And so I left that state, was getting divorced, and, I moved to Texas.
So divorced out of Michigan. Why we going to Texas?
So my ex-husband got a job here, and so that was the biggest thing. He works at Lockheed.
Okay.
And we split after that. But it was a good thing for him, and it was a good thing for me because it's so much sunnier and nice in Texas. I got here as fast as I could. It just,
So let's compare. So I'm from New York. I moved to Texas. Let's forget about Michigan. California. You're from California to Texas. You got to compare all the money in the world, everything. Where do you live? You live in Texas or you live in California?
No, I would live in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince my brothers to come this way.
All right.
Yeah.
You're loving Texas.
I love Texas.
Okay. I agree.
Yeah.
I wish we had some of the mountains, some of the outdoor stuff. I like the fall leaves in New York, but I mean, right now I don't know, can't say, I'm in shorts and sneakers. And my family up in New England, it's 32 degrees. There's snowstorms still coming. We're already 2 weeks past spring break. They're still experiencing, they have the snow plows on the front of their trucks now. So, no, absolutely loving Texas still. Few things. If you had to say few things you love about California that you wish you could take here.
I love the beach.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's the thing is like the sea air.
You don't like
smell.
Galveston?
not that. Ugh, no.
No, just kidding.
I mean, there is a lot of historic stuff in San Diego that I really like. I miss my family, so my 2 brothers still live there, and that's kind of tough because I have nieces and nephews. But I mean, other than that, like we try to make sure that we go and visit and see everybody when we can, and they come out here too, which is good.
Gotcha. So we're in DFW. We're moving on from a past relationship, and where is life taking us?
So I moved here. I joined the service industry because of I needed money, and then I also was a teacher. So I've been a teacher on and off since I was 18. I taught pre-K, and I totally love the age group of right about 18 months to 2 and right before 4. So that was like my classroom for a long time. And so, yeah. So I taught pre-K during the day, and then I was a bartender at night.
Okay.
And John owned Wild Mushroom at the time, and he used to bring his patrons that needed to go home, and he lived in Burleson at the time, and he would drop them off at my bar.
Smart.
So that's how we met. And yeah, I didn't really cherish the idea of him coming in my bar when he first started.
Yeah. He was bringing bad news at the time.
He was, but it was, I thought he was super cute, and we eventually got together. I did turn him down. I did tell him I was a single mom with 4 kids several times. It didn't seem to scare him away.
Really?
Yes.
You're very upfront, and he was determined.
I was very upfront. Yeah, we dated
that.
each other for a year before he met my children, and then he made like connections with each one of them. He did different things with them and took them to go do whatever they liked. So yeah, now they're all older, but I mean it was it's pretty significant.
And then you guys, so you have 4 children, and then together is John Jr.?
Yes.
And John Jr. is, we were talking about this
He's
earlier.
9.
He's 9, just started basketball.
Yes.
I saw that online. So how has that been? I was telling you, I wanted to ask this because it's very similar with my family. There's a huge gap in my family, and in the beginning it was super awesome. We had a young family and everyone was young. But now that some are getting older, it's like, wow, I still have a young one back home.
Yes.
How is that
We are
journey
literally
been?
in every stage of life. So my oldest is 28 and he's married, and we're super lucky that they live here. He was in the Marine Corps, and then when he got out, they settled here. So we have 2 grandbabies. And
you were showing me the pictures, yeah.
Yes.
So we have grandkids.
Yes.
We have kids.
We have kids.
Not teenagers though. Actually,
No,
you're
no
out
one's a
of the teenager.
Well, Briley's still 19, so
Okay.
theoretically,
Well,
but not, he doesn't
not
live at home.
on paper, but that
he's a
don't
big
count.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a 9-year-old.
And then a 9-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's okay. It's all the stages.
It's all the stages. No, mine are 2 oldest ones are in college, and then now we have one still at Mary Martin. And your gap's slightly larger, but still it's like this weird thing, and I do dig it. I very much like it. I feel like I get like this second chance.
Yes, it's a different perspective.
It is definitely a different perspective. Now I don't know about you. My youngest gets like whatever she wants. Like
we try really hard for that not to happen, but I mean the problem is, everyone doesn't live at home. So like all my older kids are very tight with each other too. So I mean like our daughter lives in a different state, and I mean like they still all talk to each other, and then they will FaceTime him and talk to him as well to try to like include him. So I mean like they've been really, really good, because when he was really young, my 2 middle kiddos were still home. So he got to, experience them being home and, being involved with them. So it's a little bit different than just everybody was out of the house.
If I ask the older kids, does John Jr. get babied a little?
Oh, yes. Well, and I'm like,
that's what I mean. You and I get to say, oh, no, we don't. We try not to do that. Well, let's ask the older kids.
Well, and here's the deal, too, because I told my oldest, I'm like, he's 28. So I was 16 when I had him. That's a whole different life perspective. So I grew up with my child at that point, and there's a lot of things that, you would do differently. Yeah. And, but I feel like he probably got way more attention, too, because my daughter is the second. She was born when he was almost 4. Okay. So, there was a gap time where he was the only kid, too. So, I know it's different.
He doesn't remember it, but he had his time.
He was the king for a moment, yes.
All right, fair enough. Basketball's going well?
Basketball's going well.
Where are we doing basketball?
So, WISD does like a community education.
How's it been?
It's been great.
You're pretty heavily involved in WISD, right? We talked about the
I am.
Education Foundation.
Education Foundation, I've been doing that for years. I really enjoy it. Our primary focus is to raise money. We do grants for teachers in the district. So we actually just ended last Friday for submissions, and then next Monday we sit down as a huge committee, and we have district heads and technology, and everybody sits down and we look through everybody's grants and decide.
So is it
where
a
we at.
surprise? So I remember being on the school board. We'd be up on stage during the end of year send off.
Yeah.
And that's where we would announce the winner, and the superintendent would get up. He's like, "And the winner of this grant is so and so," and everyone would cheer. That's the first time they hear about it. Possibly, right? Or do
So
they know
I think
ahead
they've
of time?
changed it a little bit.
Okay,
So they
tell me
hear
about
about
that.
it a little bit before. So I mean, we'll decide where we're at, and then our committee we'll take it to the board. The board will vote on it. So they'll hear about it before school, and be awarded whatever.
That's just their big acknowledgement.
It is. And I mean, for teachers, that's probably huge
Oh, yeah.
because, I mean, I was a teacher in the district and it was a little difficult. Funds are tight, and it's nice to be able to be awarded something.
Yeah. What are some of the more? Do you remember off the top of your head, whether it's current now or last year? What's some of the cooler ones you remember? Because these grants they're not just awarding money. You're a good teacher. Here's an extra $3,000.
No,
These
not
are
at all.
grants for things or projects
Yes.
or research.
Well,
They're
and
not
they're
doing the
super
research.
researched, and they have to have them signed on by campus administrators before they're allowed to,
Do
present to us. So some of the ones that I really liked, our sped buses got sound machines and lights to calm the kids while they're on the bus, which I thought was
Oh,
super
that's super
cool.
cool, yeah.
And then a lot of manipulatives for the younger kids. It's just one of those things that I don't think anybody really thinks about in the district. They're going to cover a certain amount of them, but when you have kids, especially special needs, you need interesting things, right? Like they're going to get bored with whatever you're doing. So we do a lot of that. The high school culinary team has presented some fantastic ones. I know Teal Jenkins did ones for a garden.
Nice.
And I mean, they've done wondrous things. Those kids are at state competing, and it's great.
Any AI things yet? Have you seen any of those?
We
come
haven't had a
across your
huge
desk?
amount of those.
I know. It's so on everyone's front platter, but it's
Oh, yeah.
it's still so fresh and new. Okay, so we're still waiting for some.
We haven't seen a lot of this, but we do have our technology guy from the district that sits in our meeting, so I'm sure it's coming our way sometime soon. We've had a lot of things that require a board or it'll project onto or whatever, but nothing seriously AI yet.
I remember some 3D printing grants that they had
Yes.
done, and again, I was on the board. My last year was 2019, so it's already 6 years ago. But yeah, from 2013 to 2019, that was kind of the height of the 3D printing and some of that. And there was some of those grants, and they would give us a kangaroo and different. And I was just wild, some of the stuff they're doing with that. Okay, so Weatherford Education Foundation, you are heavily involved in the community outside of just that. There is some involvement not some involvement. You're a very big proponent and fan of and supporter of the Tarrant West. Tell me what it is. West.
So Tarrant Area Food Bank West.
Tarrant Area
Yes.
Food Bank West.
Yeah.
And your role with them?
I sit the advisory committee with John,
Okay.
and we're just basically an oversight or just an advisory board, and we try to raise money to be able to find different avenues. So West took on 7 different counties from the actual Tarrant Area Food Bank that's in Tarrant County. Trying to get everybody to basically come up with the funds in the community in which they're in, and I feel West has done a phenomenal job in the time that they've been alive doing all of the things to support the counties they're in. I mean, they have people go out if it's because we're considered rural, they'll go out to a community and figure out how they can best help and partner with churches or partner agencies to be able to get out there.
It was the food bank that was behind the Taste of Parker County. What did we call it? Not the Taste of Parker County. When we did the food, our dishes.
Distribution?
No. We did the fundraiser. It was the week-long.
Yes.
What is that called?
Restaurant Week.
Restaurant Week.
Yeah, so
Restaurant
the
Week.
young business
Taste of Parker
leaders-
County is Weatherford College. That's coming up soon.
Yes.
But
so
Restaurant Week.
young business leaders from Weatherford Chamber decided that that's what they were going to do. And Tammy Gazzola had talked with John and I years ago, and we had attempted to figure out what that would look like. And then it benefited Tarrant Area Food Bank. And it was huge. We, everybody that participated, there were about 20 restaurants. We raised about $6,000.
That's what I was going to say. How did it go? I mean, here at Northside Remedy, we were participating.
Yes.
And, we tried everything we could. We did our best, and we had some good nibbles and bites on that. People seemed to like it, and there was folks that were coming, so it was successful in the long run.
That's 35,000
Nice.
meals.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah, that is huge.
Yeah.
That's really big. All right, so we talked a little bit about food. What about the chamber involvement? You and John both sit on.
So he doesn't normally. We alternate each other.
Okay.
So I sit the Weatherford Chamber Board, and they do great things. So I mean, the Restaurant Week was one of them.
Yep.
They're building a new building, and we're raising funds for that. So that'll be wonderful. It'll be able to house about 400 people when we do events, which we don't really have in Parker County right now. So that's really exciting.
And you're Sunday school teaching?
I am a Sunday school teacher at Northside Baptist.
Okay, how's that going?
It's good. I have a kinder class I've had for a couple of years,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's my jam. I love kids. So it was funny a couple of years ago. So my grandmother passed away. I lost both my parents and my grandmother in a 6-year period.
Oh yeah, I think I remember seeing that. Yeah.
So my grandmother was in the middle, but I had told her, many years ago, I was like, I'm not teaching anymore, and it kind of like leaves a hole in my heart. I love being around kids, and she was like, well, look around. I'm sure there's a place where you could teach. And so I volunteered there, and I've been teaching our second service since then.
Any interesting stories coming out of church school? We got any,
No.
I mean, there's always,
None that I want to share.
Oh, there you go. Fair enough. Yes,
Yep.
there's some kids. And
Occasionally people ask us about Santa Claus or other things, and that's always a very difficult conversation to have with kindergartners. They're very forthright, which I really appreciate about them, but
I would think kindergartners would be a pretty good conversation about Santa Claus.
they're fantastic. You know what's, and that's the thing is you can be having a down week and you can go in and sit down with them and talk about like the fundamentals of Bible stories, and the things that they say are so pure and so innocent, and their trust in God is so amazing.
Asking
So-
a lot of questions too, right?
Oh,
They ask-
yes.
I mean, that's what I remember from different times subbing or working with the younger kids. I taught for about 5 years, K through 12, but the younger the group was just the questioning and the questioning. And
Yeah,
the questioning
but
was
why?
yeah, but why? Yeah, and yeah, that was always kind of the best part because you had like a captive audience. By the time I got into college, there was like less questioning teaching at college than I had, K through 4th grade. They were the ones that were very interested in everything I had to say. College was just wanting to write it down so they could score well on the quiz or the test or whatnot. No, well, what else? Services. You're serving more, right? What else do we got? We talked about the church school. Food bank.
So Center of Hope, I do
okay. Talk to me
we
about
do
that.
a employer roundtable, so it's part of Jobs for Life.
Okay.
And I like when my mom passed away, I kind of just felt led to go there and
Really?
volunteer somewhere. And it was really nice. One of the leaders of that group stopped me and was like, hey, come check this out and see if this is something you'd be interested in. So basically, there's a lot of different people that, decide that they'd like to be in Jobs for Life. They want to do something different with their lives. And it's a fantastic program that just puts you through your paces and how to interview, how to budget, all these different things that you need as far as tools. And then that's one of the last classes. So they get to reverse interview me. So you ask an employer anything. And I mean, like most of the time I know what questions they're asking. So it could be I have a gap in my job employment or whatever it is, and I'm going to give them an honest answer before they're actually interviewing with somebody so that they have the information to be able to walk into an interview with.
I love it.
Yeah.
You still doing that, or that's a past?
Still do.
service?
No, I do that. It's we do it quarterly. So
Oh,
we do that,
gotcha.
and then we do job interviews with them. So then I'm in the employer, and I'm going to ask them all the questions and be hard on them.
So here's the next question. So what's next? If I fast forward 2 years in time, what organization are you eyeing involvement in? What do you wish you were more involved in that you're not currently doing? Which one are you like, I have some ideas where I wish I would be involved in that more. I'd like to do that. Do we have any out there, or are we tapped out on time?
So, I mean, I've kind of gotten to the point where
You don't want to coach basketball?
I do not want to coach. Yeah, get the short girl to coach the
There you go.
basketball. No, I mean, I'm happy where I'm at,
Okay.
and I feel like the less spread thin I am, the more that I have to pour into whatever organization I'm in, and that's been a good thing. So I've done more with Tarrant area. I just went to Washington, D.C. with them, and we talked to...
What was that? What did you go there for?
So Feeding America
Okay.
got together as a coalition and with a bunch of North Texas food banks, and we just went to go talk to a bunch of Congress people about our own experience. So I went as a constituent, and it was just basically we have about 17 agencies that utilize Tarrant Area Food Bank here, our church being one of them. And if funding is cut because the Farm Bill's attempting to pass this year, that's a lot of people that will go hungry. So it's just a different perspective, I
Yeah.
think, from somebody that is entrenched in all of those things. I mean, like John and I feel very serious about feeding people. So,
that's great.
he's the hunger chair of lions, and I'm like the unofficial sidekick.
Oh yeah, you were saying you're the de facto lion.
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
So
all
I
right.
get voluntold a lot.
Yeah, voluntold.
Rodeo
voluntold.
week, all the things.
Were you guys involved with what's the park they have with the throwing of the coins or whatever? What's the lion? Didn't the Lions Club sponsor
The horseshoe. Is it a horseshoe pit?
Is it a horseshoe pit? John, what's that new thing that they built? Was it the horseshoe pit?
That was a few years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, they have a competition.
Yeah. That's Lions, right?
Yes.
The Noon Lions built that?
Noon lions.
Noon Lions. Is that not what it's called?
Well, there's different lions. So,
Oh,
All
is
right.
there different lions?
yes.
Okay, so with all due respect, I thought there was just the Lions.
Yes. No, there's an evening lions. I don't really know a lot about them, but
Then there's the Noon Lions.
noon. So he's a noon lion, and there's evening lions.
Oh, okay. Both great groups, so
Yeah.
we're happy with both, but I did not know that. I did not know
I
that.
learn something new every day.
Oh, gee. Yeah. There's a lot of. Well, when we first moved down here, we tried to sign our oldest up for cheerleading, and we found out that there's like 3 Pop Warner leagues in Weatherford, or there was at the time. Now there might only be 2, but there's still at least 2.
Yeah.
And we're just like, we're not getting involved. We just want our daughter to cheer. So
Yeah.
like, where does she go to cheer? We're not getting involved in who's this or that or whatnot.
I'm
So,
sure there's
yeah.
a lot more now.
Yeah, there might even be. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned that you guys are very interested in feeding people.
We are very interested.
So
in
I
feeding
think
people.
that leads into the elephant in the room, the obvious. You are one half of the industry in Weatherford known as Sheps. So we've had multiple different locations and spots and successful restaurants and ventures. How's that going?
It's going. This has been probably a tougher year, I think, than it's since COVID. You understand because you're in my
that's
industry
tough.
too. It's challenges, which
Always
we've seen a lot of them in the last 5-ish years or so, and it's just it's you kind of gotta flex and see what you can do with what you got.
That's funny. It's been like 5 years now, but yeah, the biggest challenge ever was 2020,
Yep.
first half 2021. Then it's like, okay, but then you got other challenges, and now the last year we were just looking at our cost of goods on food and stuff.
Yeah.
We're almost 25% up from this January to last January.
Yes.
And I didn't really feel it when it was happening. Mm-hmm. Like I saw like stuff was going up, and it felt like it was a little more, but then revenue was kind of going up too. But was it matching? I didn't really do all the analytics, and it's like I looked at this January to last January just the other day, and I was like, it's about 25% more.
It is. Well, and that's across the board and everybody. It's it's like I talk to people in different industries, and it's the same for everyone. Just cost of goods, employment is hard, trying to get people to come in, stay, work, do the things.
Oh, there's a
and
labor shortage.
there's a
That
labor
has not
but
stopped.
it's not even just the labor shortage. Like our demographics of people that we had previously and their experience to where we're at now completely changes, which changes your customer experience. Training is difficult. But cost of goods, it's we went and looked through our analytics, about 25%.
That's what we found is about. I was just looking at that. It might have been earlier today. My mind's a little gone, and it was about 25.1% was our cost of goods from Benny Keith. Benny Keith's doing great. We love him. Everything's great.
Yeah,
But it's like it
I
was
know, it's not
25%
them.
more. And I was like, I've done one, maybe two. That's another thing interesting to talk about. I've done like one menu increase since then. I'm about to do a second one.
Yes.
And my second one that we're about to drop is, I'm almost like scared to drop it, but me and ChatGPT, like we looked at the analytics, and like you know what?
Gotta love AI.
Well, I'm not raising any prices. I'm
Yeah.
going to let AI raise the prices to put it at the cost of goods that give me the
Yeah.
35%, cost of goods that I need in order to function.
Survive.
And some of the prices were like still too high. I had to knock them down,
Yeah.
which means I'm not going to hit my targets, which is not good for business, but it's like I can't charge that.
No,
for
so that's
that.
where we
So-
get into
oh my God.
semantics, because I'm the analytical one and John is more of he's the heart of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we just increased prices at Sheps, and it's been like 2 years, and we had to sit down because I was like, all right, you have to do this, and he's like, I want people to be able to come in
know.
multiple times a week and
know.
whatever, and I'm like, yeah, but you also have to be able to pay people so that they come to work, and we can't close down because we want everyone to come eat. What's worse than that is salt is a higher percentage for cost of goods, because we sell Agahushi Wagyu
Sure,
beef,
high-end
and
stuff.
we can't compromise what we actually sell, so it is what it is. It's not something that you can manipulate.
Nope. It's been tricky. And I have noticed the customer feedback is also, and this is just observational, but I've noticed it to be fairly generational.
Yeah.
So my folks, they're in their baby boomers, they're 60s, 70s, 80s, right? They don't like these higher prices. Now, nobody likes them, but I mean,
Right.
what I'm going to say is they're like very resistant. No, a burger should be $3. They're
Yeah.
very resistant. Then there's kind of the Gen X, still doesn't like the price increases, but maybe a little more understanding. Moving to the millennials, still don't like the price increases, but even more understanding. And then the Gen Z, I mean, what I've noticed is they're like kind of okay with the price increase, and they want it delivered. So
Yes.
it's a $45 tab. And it's like, that's a $9 meal you just paid $45 for after tip and delivery fee. And they're like, yeah, well, I know, that's what it costs. I was like, no. Now my Gen X comes out, and I was like, no, that's not what it costs. It should be
Yeah.
much cheaper than that. So I've seen this like little bit of, I don't, maybe it's hard, maybe I'll be that way too when I'm a little, I don't know. But it does seem slightly generational
It
with
is.
the acceptance. And that's a shame, and I don't know there's no answer for that or solution. But we do have to raise the price. I mean, how much, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. I mean, how much did your grandparents pay to build their home?
My grandparents, I think it was,
I don't know, 20
it was less.
grand?
It
Yeah.
was less than 20. I
10
think it was
grand?
19,000. I
Yeah.
actually just saw the title to it the other day.
Yeah. No, I have a story too of our grandparents up in upstate New York, Latham, New York. I mean, these are in the tens of thousands of dollars, very low.
Yes.
Tens. That same home that land is $350,000 right now. Well, turn that into a cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
That means the 25-cent cheeseburger is $19.95 right now. I mean, that's the percentage of change, and it's just difficult to kind of get that across. And I don't like it as a user. I don't like it. I'm sure you don't. No, you don't like writing that price down.
No.
But it is what it is, and the labor. So yeah, that's been a challenge. What other challenges are you facing? What are we going through right now? What's like, you got the consumer here. What are we talking like? The labor's tough. What are some of the challenges?
I think
Or
just-
successes? You can go successes too if you want to.
I mean, I think marketing to people has gotten really interesting lately. People view things differently, so everything has to be a snappy, exciting reel of stuff rather than look at my burger. And so I do our marketing, so I've had to adapt to what we're looking at, and then you have to somehow be relevant and funny and all the things, which it gets really interesting.
I admit I'm Facebook. I'm not TikTok.
So here's the thing too, is I just can't. I don't have TikTok. So when my kids say, Mom, have you seen this blah, blah, blah on TikTok? And I'm like, what, TED Talk?
I love it. I'll watch a TED Talk actually.
Yes. I mean, and I can't, because you know what? I would be that guy or that lady that's watching the cat videos all day long if I got stuck down that hole and,
It's
decided
a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It's a rabbit hole. Well, Jennifer Shepherd, we are basically out of time. I want to give you one opportunity. I do this with all my guests. Any last words of wisdom you want to say? Your family might be watching this. Your youngest, he might not watch it now, but 10 years from now, he pulls it up on YouTube. Any advice, any words of wisdom for our loved ones? You've lived life. You and I are not 90 years old, but we've established some wisdom in our years. What do you got? What do you got for your kids? What do you got for life?
Be all in. My grandmother used to tell me all the time, you can sleep when you're dead. And it's a very serious thing in our household, is that, I go until I can't go, and I give everything all of my heart.
All in.
So that's
Love it.
That's pretty
That's
much
good. Jennifer Shepherd, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.